Okay, let's dive right into this because this is a mystery that I swear haunts so many of us in the Homelab world. You spend all this time building a powerful, super capable server, and on paper, it looks perfect. And then one day, it just turns on you. So today, we're going to get to the bottom of this, the great ZFS meltdown mystery. And this is really the heart of the puzzle, isn't it? You've got plenty of CPU power to spare, you've got your VMs on fast SSDs, everything is supposed to be separate and zippy. So why in the world can one single backup job chugging away on your slow hard drive pool bring the entire system to a grinding halt? Let's investigate.
All right, let's set the scene. In the scene of the crime, it always looks the same. A perfectly healthy, happy server that, out of absolutely nowhere, just stops. It's that moment of pure confusion for anyone who's ever built their own system.
Now, what's so maddening about this whole situation is the disconnect you see right here. I mean, on paper, this machine is a beast. You've got CPU cores just sitting around, bored. Your virtual machines are running on blazing fast NVMe storage. But what does it actually feel like? Well, the host operating system is sluggish. Even typing a simple command in the terminal feels sticky. And the VMs that should be totally unaffected, they start lagging too. It makes no sense. You know, this quote from a super frustrated user just absolutely nails it. It's not that one thing is slow. It's that the entire machine feels like it's being dragged down. It's like something invisible has grabbed the throttle of your whole system and is just pulling it back hard.
So, like any good mystery, we have to start by rounding up the usual suspects. And there are two really common, and let's be honest, pretty logical explanations for why this might be happening.
Okay, suspect number one is just physics. The argument here is that these big backup jobs create this absolute storm of random read and write operations. And spinning hard drives, they are notoriously awful at that. Their IOPS, their operations per second, just get completely slammed. So for a lot of experienced admins, this isn't even a mystery. It's just the mechanical limit of the drives. Case closed. Then you've got suspect number two, the hardware itself. The idea here is, hey, you get what you pay for, right? Maybe those consumer-grade drives you're using just can't handle the pressure and get stuck in these long retry loops that stall everything out. Or maybe your CPU, which you thought was fine, just can't keep up with all the intense calculations ZFS has to do. So the point is, maybe the system isn't failing. Maybe your hardware is just completely overwhelmed.
But what if those simple explanations aren't the whole story? What if the real culprit is something deeper, something kind of hiding in the very architecture of the whole system? Let's pull back the curtain.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. The problem isn't one part hitting 100%. You can look at your CPU monitor, see it's mostly just chilling. You know your other drives are fine. No, the real issue is a cascade, like a domino effect, where one little bottleneck triggers another, and then another, until the whole system just locks up. So let's actually break down how this cascade works. It starts with a heavy job hitting those hard drives. As they start to struggle, their latency just skyrockets. Now here's the kicker. Because ZFS is so deeply woven into the operating system's kernel, the kernel's own worker threads start getting stuck, just waiting for that slow storage. And since those threads manage, well, everything, the entire system's responsiveness just collapses.
And this quote just brilliantly captures that eerie feeling. It's not a crash. You don't get an error message, no blue screen of death. The system is still running, technically. It is just stopped. It's not moving forward. It's a silent, totally frustrating architectural stall.
So now that we kind of get how this happens, we need to ask the big question. Why? And the answer, it turns out, is in a fundamental misunderstanding, an expectation gap between what ZFS was built for and what we're often asking it to do in our home labs.
See, ZFS was born in the enterprise world. It was designed for servers with massive CPUs, just tons and tons of RAM, and these huge arrays of expensive, high-performance enterprise disks. In that world, the extra work ZFS does for data safety is, well, it's a rounding error. But in our home labs with more modest hardware, that exact same overhead can suddenly become a really serious bottleneck. And this really gets to the heart of it. ZFS is legendary for a reason, right? Its end-to-end checksums, its ability to heal its own data corruption, it provides a level of data integrity that is just second to none. But that amazing protection isn't free. It costs CPU cycles, it costs memory, and when it's under pressure, it costs responsiveness. So what can we actually do about it?
Well, over the years, the enthusiast community has developed this set of practical, maybe not so glamorous workarounds to kind of tame the beast.
And all that wisdom really boils down to a few key strategies. First, you isolate the problem. You move your critical VMs to a completely separate SSD pool so they are never, ever waiting on those slow drives. Second, you schedule the pain. You run those heavy data scrubs and backups in the middle of the night when nobody cares. Third, you can tune the system. Give ZFS more RAM for its cache. Maybe add a dedicated cache device to soak up those I/O spikes. And finally, you just learn not to run multiple heavy jobs at the same time. It's all about managing the workload to avoid pushing the system over the edge.
You know, none of these is some magic bullet that solves everything. Instead, they represent a deeper understanding of the system's limits. It's the kind of knowledge that gets passed around quietly in forums and chat groups, the stuff that really shapes how we build and manage these systems under real-world stress.
Which brings us to our conclusion. After looking at all the evidence, after rounding up the suspects, we can finally understand what's really going on during that mysterious meltdown.
And here it is. The system wasn't failing you, it wasn't broken, it was doing exactly what ZFS was designed to do. Prioritize the integrity of your data above absolutely everything else. When it's faced with a really heavy task, it puts all of its energy into making sure every single bit is perfect, even if that means every other process on the machine has to just patiently stand in line and wait its turn.
So that leaves us with this final thought. ZFS gives us a level of data safety that is, let's be honest, absolutely incredible. But it forces us to confront the hidden cost of that protection. It's a trade-off, really, between total data integrity and immediate system responsiveness. And understanding that trade-off, that's the key to building a home lab that actually works with you and doesn't turn against you.